Hello, my name is Tim and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 reasons to use digital signage in stadiums. Stadiums are, well, they're a huge monster when it comes to what you can do with digital signage. So let's focus this in some of the core features that you really want to focus on when looking at your digital signage. The first one is concessions and stands. So in most stadiums, you'll have some way of delivering food or drink to your patrons, whether it's going to be a bar or whether it's a third party or whether you're offering it through vending machines. Using your digital signage to offer pricing and promotions is the best way to get the best out of your digital signage on site. On top of that, you can start utilizing things like IPTV streaming. So let's say someone's walking away from their seat and they don't want to miss the game. They can continue watching that via the digital signage whilst also picking their next item or menu piece that they want to buy from you. Number two is web triggering. Being able to trigger content on your site is really beneficial with stadiums. First of all, you can give that to some of your staff members. For example, you could have a bar staff that's able to change over the screens from different channels of TV that you want to display, whilst also displaying some of your latest concession prices or also displaying the score. You can have all of that scheduled within a web trigger and then give the control to the staff so you don't have to worry about that directly. Triggering doesn't stop there though. You could also have this built into one of your baked-in systems via an API. So if you've already got a scoring metrics system in place and someone scores a goal or a team wins or whatever might happen, you can already have that content triggered in place. So you already know that the screen is going to update with the latest score and an animation or something that keeps the user or viewer engaged. Number three is LED. LED is something that Signagelive works with. What it allows you to do is actually create a rotation of content across the entire stadium. So whether it's around the banners on the bottom, on the front of the screen, in front of the building to promote who's playing next, Signagelive can work alongside this. So not only does it mean that you can utilize some of that LED boards that you already have, you just need to drive it with the correct player. Signagelive can then work in tandem with everything else. So not only are you reducing the amount of hardware options that you have to have and different controllers that you have to manage, you're unifying that experience in terms of the user experience. So any of those content managers will be able to have themes that run across all of the boards without having to swap over platform or reconfigure the content duration or anything along those lines. So that's another huge benefit to actually swapping over to using a CMS. Number four is emergencies. Obviously dealing with a huge volume of people on site, emergencies is something that can happen, and considering the best way of leaving the building or leaving the stadium at any given time is something you should consider from a health and safety perspective. Utilizing your digital signage to connect to your fire alarm systems or any alarm system would work perfectly fine. You can also connect this to individual buttons that display latest or the safest way to leave, the nearest fire exits, the nearest fire hydrants, for example, all of the things that you'll need to consider when looking at health and safety. And all of that content can be preloaded in advance and ready to display at a second's notice. So without having to think about that on the time, if there is an emergency, the last thing you want to be doing is starting to create content. And that is another huge benefit that digital signage will offer you. Number five is scheduling. One of the most important things about anything that happens in a stadium is it tends to just have one date. So being able to structure and plan your content to appear at that specific date without having to configure it on the day or hope and pray that your content is the right size for that screen that you had 6 months ago, then all you can do is plan that well in advance, days, weeks, potentially even months in advance. What that will do is help you alleviate time, so your content creators or content managers can sit down and schedule out the next couple of months worth of work and have it all preloaded, configured and tested way before the event itself, reducing the amount of issues that may potentially happen on the day. And it also allows them to start scheduling that content within other marketing initiatives you might be having on the stadium. So for example, if you've got LED displays outside the board that are prompting and reminding people of events, you want to capture that footfall of people that are walking past for events that might be of benefit to them. And then you can work that alongside your other marketing initiatives. So whether it's content that's on the site, flyers, leaflets, emails, whatever else you're doing to engage the footfall outside of your stadium. Number six is training and human management. Obviously, for a big event or a stadium event where you've got a lot of individual staff members walking around making sure that everything is working as expected, you can utilize your digital signage behind the scenes to educate and discuss next steps for those particular staff members. Whether it's the correct way to fold up the tarpaulin, or whether it's how to set up the next stadium grounds for the next event, or who's coming in next and who's on the next rota, all of that can be scheduled and organized to be delivered across your digital signage infrastructure within your internal site, allowing all of those staff members to understand exactly what their next steps are and what they should be doing next in the correct way with health and safety in mind and making sure that the job is done on time. Number seven is the wow factor. Obviously, your patrons, those that are coming down to actually see a show or watch a game, It's all about the immersive experience for them. What do they come away with in terms of their experience? Did they enjoy it? Did their team win? Did their team lose? What was the atmosphere like? And your digital signage can help improve that. And that's not down to us, that's about your content. So down to your video footage, your images, what content you've got on there, whether it's team statistics or band information, all of that can be assisted with a CMS to make sure that it's all delivered on time without having to worry about it in advance, but it's all about creating that really immersive experience. And that's more about why we should use digital signage in stadiums in general, but it's definitely a core piece that you need to think about when creating your digital signage structure for your stadium. Number 8 is interactivity. Gone are the days where your digital signage is just a static screen with an image file or a video file playing on loop. Interactivity is becoming more and more used in the digital signage experience because it creates that engagement with your customer, allowing them to display the content that they want to see, having a lift and learn experience or even a hand gesture wave, or potentially you're even connecting that up to some kind of experience that they want to experience for themselves and have your digital signage become part of that immersive experience for them. So interactivity and engagement, and there is a huge amount of content and literature that we've built around that. I'll put the link down in this article just to get yourself familiar with what options there are out there. You can have a look at Nextmosphere, you can have a look at web triggers, you can have a look at a whole range of options that's actually going to help you build out the experience that you want without having to utilize all of your time on site to make sure it's working as it should do. It will all just be automated. Number 9 is utilizing proof of play. Now obviously on most stadiums you have some kind of concession or some way of making more from the customers that you have on site. Utilizing proof of play will allow you to review the content that you have been displaying and then have a look at the impressions that that's been given and what your upsell is on whatever product it might be. So if you're trying to run an ad based on certain kind of fizzy drink, then you can utilize your ad space content to deliver promotions, and then by utilizing proof of play, validate that those promotions increased your sales of that product. So whether you've got product going out of date, or you've got a stock issue where you've got too much stock of something, or likewise if you've got jerseys that you want to get rid of for a particular team, and utilizing that ad space to generate the best return you can do and validating that with the proof of play functionality. Number 10 is versatility. Now, when we were thinking of this list and trying to come up with the 10 options that are best suited for stadiums, we're not stadium designers, we don't use stadiums every day, so sometimes we have to talk to some of our clients and understand what they're actually trying to do with the grounds that they have. And one thing that came across with this is that stadiums are an incredibly versatile piece of equipment. It changes from a daily basis, from a football stadium to a music event venue to some kind of B2B seminar. On a daily basis, it will be a different thing for a different person. And you can't do too much with the stadium aside from changing the chair positioning, changing the fields, changing the seating, changing the structure and the organisation of the way that the boxes are laid out. Maybe there is quite a lot to be done. But your digital signage will allow you to really change the branding of your stadium to match that event. First of all, that will make the customer's experience far more integral to the experience they're expecting. If they're going to go watch a football game, you can have your football-related content. But if they're hiring out one of your venue areas for a business meeting, then you can structure it around that business logo and add value to those clients that are actually using the boxes or using the stadiums or using whatever event location you have for their event. And that just adds that experience and that value to them, and they'll see that value returned. And that is the top 10 for digital signage in stadiums. This is being kind of collated between some of the experience that we've had with stadiums directly and some of our resellers who are speaking to stadiums on a regular basis and what they're actually looking to achieve with those stadiums. So if you've got any questions or want to speak to us further about how to do digital signage in your stadium, feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to help you every single step of the way when it comes from picking the right hardware, picking the right reseller, and then finally selecting the CMS and the content that works for you. So feel free to reach out to us. More than happy to help, and we'll speak to you next time.